Peace, blessings, and love, family. This is Elder Rasan Shakur out of New Orleans, Louisiana, coming to you with another great and informative video. Peace, blessings, and love to all the melanated family and mankind. But family, this video is going to be about Black YouTube content creators. A lot of them ain't that no way. Beefing, hating, arguing, fighting. You see it every day. No unity, no love. Males and females constantly bashing each other. This is the age of information. This is the time for melanated people to get their act together, to unify, to get some land, to get some economical power, to get a language, to move forward in a positive way. When you watch some of these hangouts, arguing, fighting, getting emotional, men getting more emotional than women. It's just very, very sad that we are in this dire straight times where black men and black women and black children are being slaughtered all over the planet. And yet we started fighting. We started hating. We have so much jealousy and envy for each other. Clout chasing. Ain't teaching nothing. Ain't bringing no unity. Damn sure ain't bringing no love in those YouTube streets. It's very, very sad to see this type of activity, negative activity that's going on between our brothers and sisters and sisters, hating on each other, making videos every day, downing each other, criticizing each other, instead of uplifting each other, instead of squashing the beef and say, let's get together and fight this beast, fight this evil entity that has put a lot of injustice and wrongdoing and evilness. But they don't want to do that. They're too busy talking about each other. They're too busy hating on each other. Where's the love? Where's the compassion? Where's the empathy? Black YouTubers, brothers and sisters, we need to stop the beef. We need to stop the fighting. We need to join together as one unified family. This beefing must stop.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Social Pulse Perspective. Thank you guys so much for coming back to take a look at something new. Well, I don't know if we could consider this new. This seems to be something that's been going on for quite some time. So it looks like it's becoming more and more visible that the rise of online beefing among Black content creators, I guess you would consider it the new streets. It's like it's one thing to have a disagreement and to handle it in a way, in a mature way that both parties can leave feeling like, you know what, hey, we're both professionals, we're both content creators. Let's show an example of how we can handle this in a mature way. But unfortunately, that's not what's happening. So it looks like this particular issue, that's going on, I'd say the most recent example would be Anton Daniels, YouTuber, and comedian Corey Holcomb. So we all know that they had a show recently where things went way left, and it's been going left to where it's almost making a 360-degree turn. So, it's back to where it started from, and it's about to make another circle. So, and it's because we know that there are a lot of things that take place in these types of arguments. You have image, you have ego, you have your fan base, you have an audience, and you have also too the content creators that want the ability to profit off of this conflict, because we all know at this point conflict equals currency. Because if there's anything to talk about and we can continue to talk about it, we're going to do that. Not everyone, but some people are going to continue and see this as an opportunity to capitalize on conflict. And it's all because of a disagreement that ends up becoming a spectacle. A misunderstanding becomes the new storyline. And instead of the two squashing it, or any example of content creators having any kind of disagreement, it's like you've got an opportunity to be an example of conflict resolution in front of millions of your viewers, young and old. It's like what used to happen, in the street corners and the barbershops, even face to face. Unfortunately, that's all happening online now, in the comment sections and the messy timelines and on lives. So a couple of things, I like to go over as far as why I think that this is just becoming a battle that seems to never end. So, as I mentioned before, you've got masculinity, you got ego, and you've got a public performance. You've got to please your audience, and to appease them of making sure that they see you as the person who you present yourself to be. So, Black men have always been known for their strength, confidence, and dominance. And online they want to keep that same strength, confidence, and dominance. However, you want to make sure that those live arguments go unmediated, where every comment and every attack feels like it's a personal item when it's not. These people, most of them who are doing the critiquing and the commenting, they don't know you. So it's not the same as dealing with someone that's right in your face. You've got people that's in your comment section. And unfortunately, a lot of times that still feels like a sense of disrespect. And disrespect is disrespect, whether it's in face or online. So, three reasons why I really believe that this is just continuing, whenever there's a online beef that goes on between content creators. It seems to be there are three things that just fuel the fire. One is that the internet turns the ego into entertainment. These guys are wanting to make sure that they show their feathers and they show that they are the tough ones and they are not going to be the ones to back down. And the bigger you are as a celebrity or entertainer or whatever the case, even if you're just a popular YouTuber, you don't want to be the one that shows humility to back down and say, okay, let's squash this, let's leave this like gentlemen. The second one is that it turns vulnerability into liability. So when that happens, then you risk your reputation of being shown as weak, a coward, and no man wants to live under that, regardless of how much of a good name that would bring you. You don't want to be shown as weak. The third one is that, fortunately for some and unfortunately for others, it turns the conflict, it becomes currency. It becomes a way for everyone now to continue making content off of an issue that they won't let die. you know so those are some of the things that I think is reason why this continues, and it doesn't allow for them to be able to cease fire on this issue. Another thing that I think is that in this age of fatherlessness, we have a loss of elders. We have a loss of respect for our ancestors that are, um, just our generation of uh, grand aunts, grand uncles, grandmothers, grandfathers, the local neighbor who may not be related by blood, but that community that became our village, that community that was our village. You would normally, if there was a conflict with two guys on the street, you would normally have someone that's an older man in the community, a mentor, an uncle, a coach, even your pastor. They would step in and say, "Hey, you guys work this out." But unfortunately, whether we have that in our real life or not, we rarely have that online. Those mediators are gone. Those mediators who could potentially fulfill that role, most of the time, they are the ones that's pouring gasoline on the flames to keep the conflict going, because they themselves most likely are also content creators, and they see this as an opportunity to get in on the bandwagon, you know. So it's like, the elders are now replaced by content creators who are part of the crowd who wants to keep this going, and the crowd, they don't want a resolution. They want to continue to make money. The crowd wants a show at the end of the day. But unfortunately, without this guidance, even online, the conflict continues to escalate. Without respect and humility from those involved, reconciliation becomes impossible. And it's without accountability, the beef will continue to spread, and it will just repeat the cycle. And now you have a situation where you've got a ton of talented content creators who have the ability to solve this issue, who have the ability to show humility and to be humble and to be the bigger man. But unfortunately, the crowd wants a show. So we have now the new streets aren't physical, they're digital. So now it's not about, blaming any specific person. I think there's a little bit of right and a little bit of wrong on both sides. Always. There's always, three sides to the story, as they say, his side, her side, or his side and the truth. So I think everyone can walk away learning something from the situation. It's just really understanding that at the end of the day, the goal is not about who won the argument, but it's about protecting your image, protecting each other, even in a sense, protecting, the quality of online content, and how disagreements and arguments can be handled without destroying the brotherhood. So I like to just explore, definitely I want to explore a growing issue that just continues to increase, and there's a rise of this online. And I'd like for us to take a look at what's going on, and definitely please, please, please comment. I'm going to show a list of a couple of videos here, just as some examples of how things can turn in a positive manner. So anyway, thank you guys again for watching. Please definitely post your comments. Let me know what you think about this from a high level, not necessarily anything specific about the people involved, but just from a general high level of where you think this is stemming from. How do you think these men have an opportunity? Even women, I'm not going to single out the men. Right now, it seems to be the men on the rise, but men and women, we both can learn from this, and how to, go about solving conflict resolution online. All right. Well, thank you again. Please be sure to like the video if you so desire, and also please comment, please subscribe, and please share. Thank you so much.
I wanted to talk about really quick the culture and the nature of Black content creation, not just on YouTube, but just across the board on other platforms such as Facebook, TikTok, and things like that. I think that is really sad, and I'm just going to keep it all the way unfiltered and 100 respectfully. I think it's really sad. I think it's disgusting, and I think it's really, really pathetic that us as Black content creators have stooped so low to where we realize that we're not going to really get anywhere in the algorithm without basically tearing each other down. Um, just crabs in a barrel type of mentality. And not just really realizing that there are other forms of entertainment that we could provide to our audience without basically making fools of ourselves here on the internet. This is not just a social media thing. I think that this is a systematic cultural issue that we have in the Black community as Black people. What I've been seeing, not just recently, but just in general, um, on, I want to call it Black YouTube, just like they call it Black Twitter. It seems that in order to get views, in order to get in the algorithm, in order to get any real, acknowledgement or activity on our platforms, it has to have something to do with drama, behaving in a very ignorant manner, um, just being a total buffoon, in order to receive some sort of motion, is what people like to call it, or accolades on our platforms. And I think that it's very sad that we can't get in the algorithm without doing that. And even in doing that, we still don't get in the mainstream algorithm. We're kind of just stuck in, confined to one sector, which is air quote Black YouTube. And I think that is sad. And I think that we need to challenge ourselves. And I think that we need to do better as Black creators, and provide some quality content and challenge ourselves, not only ourselves, but also challenge our audience.
You ever notice that only Black people have beef? Only Black entertainers, whether that's musicians, whether that's comedians, whether that's actors, only Black people have public beef with each other. Whereas in you get in the public sector and tear down somebody else who is your peer for the purposes of pure disdain, anger, frustration, or for the sake of ticket sales, album sales, or movie streams, whatever. Only Black people do this. You never hear about Justin Timberlake beefing with Harry Styles. You never hear about Garth Brooks beefing with Tim McGraw. You never hear that Brad Pitt came up on stage and slapped George Clooney in the middle of the Oscars. Only Black folks do this. And it's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. And on some level, it's corny. I just saw a whole article in Forbes magazine where Forbes magazine actually wrote an article about this current rap beef between Drake, Kendrick Lamar, and Rick Ross and other people, and Future, whatever. Now, mind you, most of these cats, with the exception of Kendrick Lamar, I couldn't even tell you a song. I could tell you a Drake song. But that's just me. That has nothing to do with the overall conversation. But I mention that because there's a level of the community, the population who has no idea, maybe even who these guys are, definitely what their music is, or why in the world would these grown men be beefing with each other. And I ain't talking about no young cats. I'm talking about cats in their late 30s, early 40s, or in Rick Ross' case, either pushing 50 or 50 plus. Beefing with each other over what? Over ignorance, over nonsense, over foolishness, and it's corny. It really is. Multi-millionaires beefing with each other over what? And what it really is plantation thinking. Because the heads of these major music groups and distribution companies who distribute their music, they're not beefing with each other. They don't really care about what y'all beefing about. It's they only thing they care about is the slaves and the bucks on the plantation beefing with each other, fighting each other. You are literally beefing and fighting with each other for the pleasure of what you may think is a music buying audience, but actually for the pleasure of those who you serve, those who you are submitted to, those who own you. the top executives of these major international music distribution outlets. That's modern day cooning. That's modern day slavery. That's modern day buck dancing, beefing with each other in public. Really? Grown multimillionaire men? Really? Really, sir? This is laughable. What are we doing this for? Somebody may say, well, you know, beefing, it helps ticket sales, it helps music sales, it helps stir up interest. But what does it do to the young people who follow you? What does it do to the community who observe you, who support you, who buy your tickets, who stream your music, who download your music, who follow up your sponsors? Most of them liquor sponsors and other sponsors who really shouldn't be sponsoring your type of music, but that's a whole nother conversation. But my point of it is what about the irresponsibility to be beefing in front of 20s and year olds and teenagers who follow you, who think it's okay to be beefing with somebody over nonsense, over a diss track, a leaked diss track, foolishness? What's really going on? And why is it that black people beef with each other in public? Now, are there show business rivalries even today as well as those historically? Of course there were. There are several like behind the scenes or industry known show business rivalry. People today and people in the past who don't like each other. That's a fact. Just like any other industry or any other business or families, relationships. People sometimes don't get along with each other. But the fact that y'all utilize this for public consumption, for the sake of entertainment, seemingly, for the sake of clicks and likes, for the sake of staying relevant,